my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about the APEC Cross-Border Privacy Rules. So APEC is the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, and this is a 21 countries in Asia Pacific that have gotten together and created this framework for how data flows should be handled cross-border. So this particular framework went into effect in 2011. I think it was last updated in 2015. It's actually a pretty good framework. It's somewhat akin to what the US and the EU were trying to do with the Privacy Shield framework, except that this framework is not like a treaty. It is basically just a set of high-level principles about how data gets transferred from Asia Pacific countries to other countries outside of Asia Pacific. So there are some big countries that have signed on to sort of be a part of this and sort of agree with this framework. They include, the US, Mexico, Canada, Australia, the Republic of Korea. There's some other countries that are trying to get onto this framework. The purpose of the framework is to sort of create high-level principles that these countries and also companies that are doing business with these 21 countries in Asia, the APEC group, so that they can, make sure that they're on the same page about data protection. So it has high-level principles about how you protect individuals' privacy, how you protect their security, how those data exchanges are supposed to go, how there's a certification process. So the certification process includes a accountability agent. So there are certain organizations around the world that have been selected as or approved to be accountability agents to assess a company's sort of standards to make sure they're in line with this particular cross-border rule, and so that they can do business in those countries. So, those standards and the framework are really important. I think, one of the best things about this particular rule is that it understands that different countries have different ways that they handle data and they handle data privacy, but they're saying, let's come together and make some agreements. And one of those things is to make sure that there is some mechanism within these other countries to have some type of enforcement or some way for these APEC countries to be able to enforce these rules and make sure that companies are doing what they should do as it relates to data transfers. So I actually think this would be a great thing for people to look at. It's been something that seems to have been pretty successful up to this point. Maybe this is something that we should maybe agree on, and not every country is going to think about privacy in the same ways, but then they want to make sure that they can do business and that the data flows are not encumbered as a result of maybe sort of incongruent ways of doing things. So having this type of framework and having different countries and also companies be able to agree and come together on sort of high-level principles, I think is great. And if we look at a lot of the privacy laws, some of the fundamental themes are all there. So it's about transparency, consent if it's needed, securing data of individuals, making sure that companies are, respecting the rights of the countries that they're or customers where they're taking data from, and make sure that they do it in a transparent way in the future. That's it. Thank you.